ideal in the commons, in the shared economy?
I'm Sally Duros. I'm an independent journalist, and I work on the future of independent news.
I'm Pat Maher. I'm Director of Civic Engagement for PR Consulting, and a part-time friend of Steve Lucas.
Part-time.
Obviously not for Steve.
I'm Joe Linwood, Public Information Officer for the Cook County Bureau of Technology.
Claire Mellon, I'm an Interactions Planner at University of Chicago.
Ben Wilhelm, I'm a web developer.
Dave Hutchison, I work for investment in communities. Music School for social studies, the great place to watch. Tyler Brown, grad student at Chicago. Kevin Kujanowski, I'm a product manager at Java.
I'm McAllister, freelance. I'm Cindy Shaw, I work at Braintree, and if you have questions about jobs here, I can answer them for you.
I'm Mike Armstrong, I'm a policy analyst.
I'm Alexis, into urban planning.
Hi, I'm Forrest. I'm a partner at Gateway.
I'm Ewan, I studied computer analysis and public policy.
I'm Hunter, I hate Matplotlib.
Hello, my name is Julian, I'm the founder of TechStart.
I am acting in Sydney.
I'm Kevin, I'm a data scientist.
I'm Joshua Jones, the blogger. Nicole, the developer.
Mark, analyst at VML.
John Krause, I started Chicago Street Car Renaissance and cooking.
I'm Charles, I'm a research psychologist. Mohammed, this is my first hackathon, and I'm very excited.
Welcome.
Welcome.
I'm Karina, I'm a grad student at Northwestern.
I'm a counselor, I'm a grad student.
I'm Tori, I'm a web developer.
I'm Louis Blanc, I'm a business analyst.
I'm Sam, freelancer.
I'm Brian, I'm an intern.
I'm Peter Rose, and I'm a planner for Business Associates.
I'm Will, also an urban planner.
I'm Nina Samblin, and I'm one of the disability advocates. I'm Charlotte, I'm an intern.
I'm Eric Martin, I'm a programmer at Jump Trading.
I'm Mark.
I'm Lydia. I'm a data analyst and was recently a full stack developer.
I'm Tim Kelly, and also a deputy graduate.
I'm Steve, I do GIS and urban planning.
I'm Lisa Baldick. I'm a GIS analyst.
Hi guys, I'm Kevin. I'm a student at the University of Chicago and Microsoft Civic Tech Lab.
I'm John, I number one.
What?
My name is Chris. I'm a graduating public policy student at UChicago looking for a position back in Chicago.
I'm Zach, student from Northwestern University.
I'm Kevin, I'm a web developer.
Adam, a business analyst.
James, Matt Flopwood enthusiast.
My name is Eric. I'm a GIS/web/dev/technology consultant/data clearer. I ate cookie number 39, which is an open hack session, and there were like a couple in the row there. So January 2013, what was the class?
Slow month, slow month.
I'm Mark. I'm a product manager for 3 days and looking for a job.
Brian Burrows, software developer.
I'm Amy Nolan. I'm a project coordinator at City Digital. Oh, sorry.
I'm Elias, my favorite analyst.
I'm Heather, I work at USC.
I'm Paul, here station. I'm Dan, I'm grad student. I'm Michael, I'm a sociology grad student.
I'm Dan, I lead the Tudor Minter Institute.
I'm Carlos, I'm a curriculum developer and research controller.
I'm Andy. I'm an iOS developer, recent graduate from Mobile Makers, and currently looking for a job.
All right.
Andrew, chemical engineer.
Maria, artist, and I work at the University of Chicago Urban Education Institute and Arts and Public Life.
My name's Andres, and I'm Maria's husband.
I'm Steve, I'm the Zara, I do SPSS.
Also a recent BBC graduate.
Jenna, recent UC grad, looking for a job.
My name is Audrey, I am a writer and researcher. I graduated 100 years ago. But I'm still looking for.
I am Hillel. I put Agile and Office Suite on my resume. recent BBC grad.
I'm Mike, I'm also a brand new full stack developer.
I'm Kelsey, I work at the Lincoln Cartoon and have a degree in non-confidence.
Robert, Mozilla Learning.
My name is Eileen, I'm a developer.
Dante with this one.
Elder Clayton, founder of a new tech conference called Untitled Chapter, and also we run a news company called Breaking Voices, just hyperlocal news processing. Here for consulting.
Next, community researcher at UIC's Institute of Philosophy.
I'm a computer interaction graduate student at Paul, and I'm also a web designer for the conference.
Lewis, I work in analytics at.
Georgia publishes Chicago.
I go by Nick, IIT student. My name is Vish, I'm an IIT student. I took Cookie 172, and I was like to have this presentation and our first time.
All right.
My name is Sunny, I help people find their financing partners.
I'm Andy, and I can make no such thing.
GIS specialist in the folks in the environment.
I'm Michael, I'm a GIS specialist in the Addict project.
I'm Oscar, GIS specialist, big advocate for Chicago Parks.
Mason, I'm a TUC grad as well.
Eve, I do additional programs.
I'm that design consultant.
We miss anybody? All right, excellent. Wonderful to see everyone. We'll move right on to announcements. A few of them from us. Number one is, in addition to lightning talks, we also invited folks to submit blog posts. And we got 5 people to submit and write blog posts for this very night. So actually, if you wrote a blog post, could you stand up and say hi? Audrey, I know, yay. Daniel, Christopher did one. And then we also received one from Emily Drivitz, who is a recently started coming to Hack Night. And then Simona Rawlinson, who's the Chief Information Officer for Cook County. So she gave us a great congratulations. So I would invite everybody to go read these posts. They're all great. There's a lot of variety in them. You can go to our blog or on our website and read them in all their glory. We'll move on to Chai Hack Night and Social Justice News Nexus. Is that somebody here? Yeah, hey. Just tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I was invited by Achievement Coverage. I got sold 198, so check it out. It's on SHChicago.org.
Nice. Very cool, thank you. I got one, swag. So who's wearing a Shy Hack Night t-shirt? Christopher, show it off. We have, oh, Renee as well. We now have all sizes. And by all sizes, I mean small through XXL large. So if you would like to buy a t-shirt, they're $15. We also, new coffee mugs. It says Shy Hack Night on it. You can wake up every morning with the beverage of your choice and Shy Hack Night. Those are $10. So if you want to buy either of them, we'll have a little merchandise table over there. All the proceeds go to this event. You had another one, Christopher?
Yes.
Yeah.
So remember a few years ago we had a film crew cover our 1-year anniversary. It was great. That video is really old now. There may be like a quarter of you in the video, and now there's a lot more of you. So we're gonna redo the video, and we're gonna have sort of a video confessional documentary booth. So after the presentations, see where the cameras are gonna be set up, and we'd love to hear more about why you come to Hack Night.
Cool. And that first group that did the video was Scrappers Film Group, and they're here today. So thank you, Scrappers. It's a loving, long-lasting partnership. All right, so moving on, we have other events that are happening in the civic tech space in Chicago. I think this is you, Vinesh, right? Yeah, what's up?
So I work with a team of Illinois Tech students called Graffiti Graph. We're designing a platform to help cities prioritize their response to gang graffiti. And our prototype asks citizens to snap photos of urban art, whether graffiti or not, submit it to us. We add some information about the location, surface material type, and whether it has gang graffiti associated with it, and submit a 311 request to the city. So if you can help us out, we're having a competition for people to submit pictures of urban art. The prizes are, college level prizes, and probably enough to buy a week's worth of raw mess. We really appreciate it if you could submit pictures, tell your friends, and people who are generally around those kind of art.
Excellent, thank you. Illinois GIS Association regional meeting. Someone here know about that? It's happening Friday, April 22nd, 2016. So that'll be, I believe, next week. Hack to the Future. Anybody know about that? Yeah.
It's an event that's being run by Cleverbridge. It's an opportunity for coders and teachers to get together and form solutions for classroom use. The cool thing we're doing for this, Mozilla is running a workshop for teachers who participate in the event on Saturday morning. It's a 2-day event to help them bring actual web literacy and HTML skills back to the classroom. So the teachers and developers will get to work together if you're really interested in making an impact in the classroom. Here's your opportunity, and teachers are guaranteed to walk away with something. So promote it to any educators you know in your networks, and developers who are looking for a good time.
Thank you, Robert. Moving on to Jorbs. Dev Bootcamp is hiring. City of Evanston is hiring a digital services specialist web developer. I did notice quite a few folks here were like, I am seeking jobs. So you might be interested in looking at this list. Illinois Science and Technology Coalition, ISTC. Whoa, do I hit continue? What do I do?
Just, sorry,
I'll press this button. Shift.
Just ignore that for now.
Okay, I'll ignore that for now. And that's it for the jobs. If anybody has anything they'd like to share in this group's events, jobs, or general announcements, raise your hand. We'll call and you can speak for a little bit. Yeah, Eric Sherman.
This is not an announcement. I have really bad headache. If anyone has any
Okay, maybe for Chag Night 300 we'll have like branded Advil. Okay. Suggestion noted. Anybody else? Announcements? Nice. That's community right there. Boom. Very good. Anybody had someone? Yeah, Nina.
Yeah. So this is a really very special night. Not only because it's our 200th academics, but it's also Yuri's night, which it's 55 years since Yuri Gagarin became the first human in space.
Wow, yeah.
And this was celebrated in the Soviet Union as День космонавтики, Day of Cosmonautics. And then about 15 years ago, it started being a worldwide celebration for space nerds. Putting those two things together, I thought the most space-like thing I could bring was dehydrated vegetables.
Thank you, Nina. Excellent. And also, while we're on the subject of bringing food, this was also a potluck tonight. So Carl Fogo brought open source guacamole. And who else? Raise your hand if you brought food. Thank you for everybody else who brought food. Thank you. All right, so I believe it's on to our feature presentation. So we're going to be going off of the list that we have here on the event. In order, the first one is Ben Galuski, and so Chris will get him queued up. So the idea here is we asked everybody to submit their story or something they've learned at this event, and they have 2 minutes to tell us about it. And the idea was to get as much variety as possible. So like I said, we got 11 people to submit. Unfortunately, 2 other folks weren't able to end up making it tonight, but we have 9 presentations tonight from folks in this room. So before you come up here, Ben, just everybody who's going to be presenting, please stand up. All right, so a round of applause for everybody beforehand and again at the end. All right, well then, I suppose without further ado, Ben Galuski.
All right. So thank you. I've been coming here for about 2 years, so a bit of a beginner. But I'm talking about the pension project, which started out as an attempt to model the Illinois pension system, to explain it, and to come up with solutions for how to improve this situation. So it started in August of 2014, which means that there have been 88 sessions where we've come together and sat in a room like that room or a room like it and talked about feverishly about the pension system. We have a mailing list where pretty much everyone that comes into the room, we make them type in their email address and they become part of the conversation. There are 72 members on that mailing list, so almost one person every week has joined. So I did a ridiculous back of the envelope calculation of how much effort, if you say, yeah, we're pretty talented people, so how much has this probably cost? And roughly $125,000 to date. We have shipped nothing. And I believe that any rational sponsor of a project like this would have pulled the plug long ago. But I started thinking about really what have we done. So we've had 88 sessions where we've sat down together, new people have come in, and we've engaged them in discussions about the pension crisis, about the system, how it works, what is the math behind it. And there's been a lot of people who've been awakened to notions about it, a lot of different discussions. We've been focusing a lot on the models. We've played around with various models and looked at ways, digging deep into the data and the sensitivities. And we've actually, through all of this, have come up with something we'll be presenting a bit later, but it's a astonishingly simple outcome of all of this. But it really came from the flexibility of this sort of a forum to really come together and practice civics. So that was my surprising story.
Thank you, Ben. Good job. That was like almost exactly 2 minutes.
Oh,
excellent.
Next up, Eric.
Yeah, that's that one. Nice. Okay, so I have a lot of slides. I'm going to talk really fast. Okay, so my name's Eric. I work for a company called DataMade. In 2014, we worked on a project with the Department of Planning and Development in the City of Chicago and LISC Chicago. It was called Large Lots. It was a thing where the city was selling vacant, city-owned, residentially zoned lots back to residents and communities. Part of the process of that, we came up with another website called Chicago Lots, which nobody uses except for me and Derek. It's basically a big map of all the city-owned vacant lots in Chicago. And Thanksgiving of 2014, I was sick. So I was on the couch like for a whole week doing nothing but looking at that website. And I had just finished a book called Family Properties, which is about residential segregation in Chicago. Highly recommended. It focuses a lot on the west side. And I noticed, if you look at this map right here, there's a lot of things on the west side. So I started clicking around. I found this really big, vacant, city-owned lot. I thought, what the heck's the story here? So this is how I figured out the story of that lot. Not necessarily in the order in which I discovered it, but in a much more sensible order. First, you go to historical areas. Oh, this is the caveat. Everything is available while sick on a couch in my living room. So, not the complete picture. You could obviously do better. First, you go to historical aerials, and you do a little bit of time travel. 2012, vacant. 2011, vacant. 2010, vacant. 09, vacant. 07, vacant. 05, vacant. 02, vacant. 99, still vacant. 88, couple of buildings. 73, wow. So we found when somewhere before 1988, all these buildings were demolished. So now we want to find the other end. What's the other end of the occupation of this lot? So we go to the City of Chicago Public Library website and look up Sanborn fire insurance maps. Kind of amazing if you don't know about it. And this is what this area looked like in 1918.
I'm just going to be focusing on this thing because I didn't want to do the whole thing. So sometime after 1918 and before 1988, this thing was occupied, right? So this is it. Look here, Dryden Rubber Company. That's interesting. Let's see what that's all about. What do? We look in the newspapers. So you go to the City of Chicago Public Library thing and you start looking in the newspapers. And it turns out George Dryden had a really big house in Evanston in 1915. And in 1920 is when they actually bought this property and built the thing. And they had lots of labor trouble, more labor trouble, still more labor trouble. And then in 1947, they were sold to Scheller Manufacturing. And after that, the trail kind of goes cold because Scheller Manufacturing is a huge multinational corporation. I didn't feel like Googling it all day. So we go to property records. And on our website, we have this nice little link that takes you over here, which is the Cook County Property Information thing. And so it's got all this great information, but the really interesting information is actually in the Recorder of Deeds website, which is kind of annoyingly not able to get to from here. So there's a lot of things that I have no idea what they mean, but there's a lien right here on the property. And one guy that's mentioned in that lien was also mentioned in that Family Properties book. His name's Jay Gorin. He was a notorious slumlord on the west side of Chicago. So somehow he had a claim on that property, at least in 1995. So let's find out what else we can find out about this property. In 1990, there was a 6-story pile of construction debris on this property, and it was illegal because that's what people do in Chicago. So they, over time, sometime between 1973 and 1990, 6 stories worth of construction debris was dumped there illegally. This guy, John Christopher, who was the owner of the firm that did it, was also involved in a federal probe involving this property, which implicated several aldermen and other city officials in bribery scandals and all kinds of wonderful things. And I couldn't find great images of the article, so sorry about that. And there was also, if you notice way back here, oh wait, this is zoned as a planned development, which is like kind of interesting. So because that means that the city was planning on doing something with this property at some point. What they were planning on doing with it is they were planning on turning it into a movie studio. This is an elevation showing what was supposed to be built there, at least in 2004. So now, and another thing that's interesting is that UIC actually proposed it as a possible location for the Obama Library, and that's what it was going to look like. So that's all I know about this property. But that's everything that you can find on the internet. So thanks.
We do.
Awesome, thank you.
Here was your clicker.
Thank you very much. Hi guys, what's up? Oh, do I? Okay. I was planning to walk around.
You can
But...
take this one.
Hello. All right. Awesome. So, hi guys. My name is Kevin Way. My lightning talk is called Microsoft Civic Tech. No shills allowed. So you might be wondering, who is this kid anyway? So I'm a student at the University of Chicago, and I study economics and public policy. Basically means I read a lot of dead old white guys readings and a lot of theoretical math, like a lot of theoretical math. But college isn't too bad. What I also get to do is lead tech team, which is a 2-sided mission of providing digital strategy to under-resourced nonprofits. And I also get to get students more comfortable with tech. And this really led me to becoming a Microsoft Civic Tech fellow. But some of you be wondering, like, and of course, what would a corporate presentation be without a cheesy stock photo? Some of you may be wondering, what does that even mean? Why Microsoft Civic Tech? And so when I introduce myself like that, a lot of people have this apprehension because everyone's, and rightfully so, in something as organic as civic tech, there's also the suspicion of some guy that's like working for the man. And my presentation here is kind of to talk about why we're a little bit different. I'm not trying to sell you anything as much as I love Bing. I don't have any like selling quotas. I'm not trying to push any products. We're really just here to help. And so what we do, we show up and we give you free stuff. And I'm also here for the empanadas as a starving college student. But what I really want to take away from what I've learned from Shy Hack Night and being here is that only in civic tech are you going to find a space where it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter whether you're a teacher, a student, nonprofit, developer, anyone. You have a right to be here and contribute because this era of the hoodie hacker is completely gone. And I never really envisioned that until I came here. It was just really cool that everyone comes here to build with the community for the community. And that's something that's never been done before, and that is why I love civic tech. But there is still work to be done. Within civic tech, there's a lot of digital fragmentation, just because a lot of people are working on the same project. And so what Microsoft and a lot of other people hope to do is provide a ton of resources. So I'm going to go through a quick list of resources that we provide for free because I'm not a corporate shill. And yeah, you can talk to me afterward and we'll have a conversation. Some of you may have met Adam, but I would love to talk to you, just see how we can help. So let's go through all this. Azure, we give you free tools, just play around with Microsoft Azure, the cloud computing platform. So yeah, super awesome. What else do we have? BizSpark, if you guys are interested in starting your own startup, it's 3 years of just $2 million worth of startup software, so super awesome. As well as digital literacy and development for those of you with nonprofits and certain educational programs. This is a free curriculum that's online. Finally, or not finally, sorry, we have product donations for nonprofits. You can get in touch with me, but Microsoft Office, Office 365, a lot of stuff good there. And finally, we have service loans. So that was a lot, but yeah, I would really like to say thank you to this community. It's been wonderful to be a part of it, and I hope we can get to know each other. Thank you.
This is totally about time. Christy, I think you're next. Christy? This always happens, but it happened in between talks, so totally fortunate. Okay.
And I got. Thank you. I saw something drive and I was like, oh no. Yeah, perfect.
And there's Clipper.
Thank you. I thought this was going to go forward by itself. It's not. Yeah. Well, imagine an empathy dance. It's probably better left to your imagination anyway. This was a picture of a black hole GIF. I watched it for a long time. Thank you. Oops, zoom around. Wait.
I have a night class in graph theory that I hate because it's a night class and it's filled with algorithms that are hard to pronounce. But last week's class was particularly weird. After the lecture, the professor took questions from the class that weren't so much questions as they were long-winded commentary punctuated by question marks because the asker had an inflection. But then the class changed when the professor ended his lecture and said, "And now it's time for the civic hacking portion of the evening." All of a sudden the class exploded. People were by whiteboards and desks and groups working on problems like making it more effective to spread resources and support to parts of the city, and even designing more efficient transport so that citizens can have better access to jobs. Not only were we finally learning what Dijkstra's theorem was good for, but we had choice over what we got to work on with a real impact. And I hadn't noticed it, but a few people who were psychology and policy majors had snuck in, helping us build maps. And CS students don't like to admit it, but since they were there, we felt a little more comfortable looking up from our laptop and talking to each other. People even stayed afterwards, late into the night, working on problems. And that may have had something to do with there being empanadas in the room. But when I took a bite of one of those empanadas, and it tasted just like the brown rice from our school's cafeteria, I knew that I had fallen asleep in lecture again and it had all just been a dream. I should have realized sooner, because in the back of the classroom there was a pool with a dolphin in it. And unlike my professor, this dolphin never criticized me. So I leaned down and I asked him, "Dolphin take dolphin. Why can't every class be like this?" And in a series of chirps and twitters, she told me, "It's going to be a long time, Winesh, before your classroom looks like this. But your other night class on Tuesday at 6 p.m. tells you that the city is your classroom."
All right, so I think my time has started. This is My Building Doesn't Recycle, the Odyssey. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with My Building Doesn't Recycle, I'll give a quick introduction. So My Building Doesn't Recycle is a website where people who live in apartment buildings with 5 units or more can report that they are not receiving recycling services from their landlord or building owner. So we've amassed a lot of reports. I think we have about almost 3,000 reports for 2,000 different locations, and this is in a year's time. We've also received a lot of media coverage, most recently being the NBC5 Investigates with a concerned-looking woman up there. So with all this success in media coverage, what's missing? Advocacy. So our original goal was really to get the city to actually enforce the recycling law, the law that mandates that these buildings with 5 units or more provide recycling services. We haven't achieved that despite the media coverage and just the attention to the site. So I am proposing some changes, which I think I myself will accept, to the website. And I'd like to show you some wireframes to show you what I'm talking about. Okay, first of all, we want to publicize reports by ward. So really show how many reports are in each ward, and I think this will be helpful to both the constituents of the ward and the aldermen to really just get it out there in public, how many people are really wanting recycling services. And we did actually talk to aldermen, but they really haven't been receptive, so we're taking it to the next level. All right. Second, so you can see the ward detail page where you can actually see all the ward counts. And when you click on the ward details, you come to the details of the ward. So like the picture of the alderman and every address in the ward that has a report. You'll also notice that there's a button where you can actually take action directly from the site. So that's another new feature I'm proposing. I also want the site to be more of an advocacy platform and make it easy for people to tell their alderman what they think. We did have a place where you can just like look up your alderman to link to another site. So now we're actually having it where you can go directly from the site and write a letter. And we'd also like to keep track of how many people are doing that so we can kind of build on the momentum. Oops. Oh. Okay, so here's the letter to the alderman, and we're make it really easy for people. They can just fill in their address and edit a pre-made letter, so they don't have to think of their own thing to say to their alderman, although they can certainly add it. And I'd love some help, so kind of reinvigorating the project, and especially if you know Node, but even if you don't know Node, you are welcome. So come talk to me. I have little business cards to hand out. Just send me an email. And thank you.
Yeah, Joel, you're next.
All right.
Load up. Yeah. So shy at night. All right, guerrilla marketing. So you built an app. Now what? The word guerrilla doesn't actually mean ape. It's a Spanish word that means little war. So it's like 7 or 8 guys are sitting around and thinking, we want to overthrow the government. And someone else says, there's only like 8 of us. Well, we're going to need a little war because we don't have an army. So if you're going to have a little war, you got to choose your target very carefully. It can't be everyone. Find your niche. Who are the specific group of people who will use your app? And if it really is everyone, try and just pick a neighborhood or something. Focus. Remember, Facebook was originally just for college students who are misogynists. Where do people's eyes go? Find your audience, follow them around, stalk them. It's like, you might not be able to put an ad in the newspaper that they look at, but you might be able to see them go into a concert and hand them a bottle of water or something like that with your app on it. You can go to their neighborhood. You can sit on the L. Yeah, follow their eyes. The media loves a hook. Like $1 Million Blocks, one of the coolest apps, in my opinion, to come out of this was essentially a hook. What do we have? Crime statistics. Boring. We're spending $1 million on one block. That's a hook. Find a bigger partner to help you out. If you think you can't handle it on your own, or you can maybe use some help. You know, we're just a little group of folks, but we can find a bigger nonprofit business or perhaps a government to help out. And last but not least, keep it minimal and manageable. It's really easy to come up with a whole lot of ideas, but it's very hard to execute a whole lot of ideas. It's a lot more fun to think up stuff than it is to hand out bottles of water on the hot street all day. Thank you.
Which one is yours?
Hello, everyone.
All right. Hi. I think it's PDF, right?
Oh, here we go.
Thank you. This is my first talk of the sort, so I would like to thank you for your patience. This is not meant to be in any way academic, but please bear with me. Well, I'm just going to try to give a feel of what it's like to just be up here and answer questions as a code clinic, something I just stepped into, it feels like. One big question I get all the time is how much of this stuff is free? That was the most direct question I have ever gotten. And I can't really answer that myself. That seems to be something that's always changing and gets ever more complex, is how much of this stuff is free. A lot of this software is built upon the work of others that came before that person, Either way, when I came in about 100 hack nights ago, I was intrigued and I stayed on. No, I would like that to be part of the time. Keep it in, yeah. I just like this, like, for example, a two-bot that could talk back to ignorance. That's Kevin right there. It's just one of the things that I think about, how people come in with fresh ideas, and things like this stick around and stay in the atmosphere, and I really like that kind of thing. I could kind of explain this one. Had a person come in and just had this kind of joke that I wasn't understanding at all about, I want to try to, wouldn't it be really funny if I replaced all the text here? Because I read somewhere in the Huffington Post that somebody made a comparison of research studies that said more people have claimed to see the paranormal, as opposed to a trans person. So it took me a while to just get the joke out, but once we saw the text portion on like a web page, we had a laugh, and but it's great to see the diversity of people who come in. There's also other people that come in and try to pick stuff up like this, even though they've tried to learn this in the past. Okay, my computer's messed up from like 8 months ago, but can you help me just kind of install this thing? Yeah, sure. Everyone should try and keep trying again to learn this stuff. I mean, I have been here for maybe a couple years now, and I could say without a doubt that I'm very close to building something. All right, so yeah, all these things are still trying to answer that question of, is it free? Again, work that's been done by others before we get here: Python, Ruby, JavaScript, CarDB, all these map facilitating things, Ruby on Rails, and Git. It always seems to come up every time, as I think it should. I'll just put up something, git log reverse, put it in there, see who started the project, and go talk to them. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. I'll just stand here. Hi everyone, I'm Kathy Ding, and I'm here to talk to you about avoiding apps. So as a disclaimer, I'm not like railing against all apps. I actually love apps. I love Google Maps, I love Snapchat, I love Instagram, but that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about volunteer civic apps. And I think it's really easy for people to kind of equate civic tech and civic apps. When people talk about civic apps, they'll always talk about like the technology first. And also there's like no shortage of hackathons and app competitions that kind of like elevate apps as something you should aspire to. But I think that tech can mean a lot of things, and apps are just a tiny, tiny sliver. And one thing about apps is that they're really hard to make. There's a reason why Instagram has like a giant team of paid engineers. So while apps are great, I don't think they're the best fit for volunteer projects. And also there's a kind of more subtle issue with focusing on apps, which is that apps are often not inclusive. It's really hard to get a volunteer project that's an app and also involve a lot of people who are not developers, because having apps just really privileges coding over other types of work. So anyways, let's talk about some other types of cool projects that aren't apps. So if you're looking to volunteer here and you're like not really sure how, here are a bunch of free breakout group ideas. So one thing I love is bots. So bots are much more lightweight than apps and require much less maintenance. One I really like is a Twitter bot called Census Americans. A lot of census data is like aggregate data. It'll be like, the per capita income of this zip code is X. And it's hard to see the people behind it. So this bot kind of personalizes and humanizes people behind the data. It says, hey, I carpool with another person. I served during the Vietnam and Korean era. It's just kind of cool to see. Another type of bot you can make, it doesn't have to be a Twitter bot, is a Slack bot. Here's a bot we have in our Slack where if you address a group of people that are not all guys as guys, it'll say, hey, did you mean nerds or peeps? And also, the code for this is on GitHub. We've been thinking a lot about ways to automate kind of having people introduce themselves or give a little orientation when people join our Slack channels. If that's something you want to work on, talk to me. Another thing I love is tutorials. So we have a blog at Hack Night, and the first post on our blog was a tutorial about web scraping. And tutorials are really cool because you can learn a small thing, but then share it with a bunch of people. And I also think super simple websites are really underrated relative to apps. So this is something we worked on at Hack Night. We did most of the work for this in like one evening, and it's really fun because a lot of the work wasn't coding. We got like 15 people together, and everyone was like researching articles about the Illinois budget crisis, and they show up here. And then another thing that you can do is documentation. So tech projects involve a lot more than code. Communication is also really important, but it's often undervalued. And a lot of projects, it's hard for an outsider to figure out like, what is this even? And like, how can I help? So if you wanna help do that, that's awesome too. This is another example that I love. So this is mystery shopping City Hall. So you get a bunch of people and they do things like try to get a permit or try to get water turned on. And then you kind of log your experience and talk about how difficult it was. And I think this involves no code whatsoever, but I think it's a really cool tech project because it requires a pretty holistic view of what a digital process should be. And now go forth and hack.
Excellent. Round of applause for all of our presenters. That was wonderful. Excellent segue, Kathy, because now is time for the civic hacking portion of the evening. So, for those of you who are brand new, oh wait, we forgot to do this. Is it your first hack night? Raise your hand. Whoa, welcome. All right. So, for those of you who are new, the way that this works is the rest of our time here, which is about 2 hours, is a hackathon style event. So we are going to disperse from this room and go use these side rooms, and there's a cafeteria back here, and there's some rooms back there. And we have some semi-structured groups that we've set up for anybody to be able to join. Another thing is anybody can start their own group. So we're going to list the ones that we have on here. On our website that we've been doing, we've been running for many weeks, and sometimes, how many times have you been meeting? 88? Okay, 89 today for the pension group. We'll be listing those, and if you have a project idea or a breakout group idea, you're welcome to just pitch it to the group and start it right here, right now. We break them up into two different kinds of groups. One is learning groups, and the other is working groups. So we'll start with listing out the learning groups. The very first one is for those of you who just raised your hands. It is Civic Tech 101 with Christopher. So Christopher.
Hello. So if this is your first time here, if the words open data, open source, GitHub, Ruby are unfamiliar to you, don't worry. I'm going to explain everything in 15 minutes or less. We go over what is open data, what is open source, and the importance of community organizing in our work. We meet in 111 North Canal. That's the conference rooms with the giant ominous door. So we let them in.
Very cool. Next is Code Clinic. Our very own Renee Pacha is running that. Oh, and also Carl with him as well. But Renee, tell us all about it.
Code Clinic is a big ask question for working out something. We'll be up by the big screen today, up in the front.
Cool. Mob programming, I don't think Nick Mader is here, but Vinesh, you said you wanted to do something.
So a friend of mine had a traumatic experience this past weekend working on an app that needed a database, and he had two back-end developers with him that for their lives could not figure out how to save a string of text somewhere and retrieve it with the client. So show of hands, is there anyone who's had an experience like that or just wanted a database and have been beaten down and told you're a front-end developer? If that's you, or if you're interested in that, I'm gonna do a mob tonight about Firebase, which is a client-side databasing tool in JavaScript and a bunch of other languages that makes it incredibly easy for you to store data without setting up any kind of backend. And it does something that even the best backend developers I know are still vexed by, which is real-time syncing of data between clients. So if you're interested in that, I'll be back in this corner and we can find a room to go on.
Excellent, thank you. Any other folks want to do mob groups? There's usually sometimes more than one. Okay. Dolphin Tank, they meet the last Tuesday of every month. It is real, but I believe they'll be meeting not this week, but in a couple weeks. Freedom of Information Workshop, I don't know if Brandon Smith's here. I think we'll skip that one too. But if you're interested in learning how to file a Freedom of Information request of your government to get information from them, Brandon's usually around to help out with that. We'll move on to working groups. Is anyone from the Access to Justice group? Yeah, Christy.
So Access to Justice, we are working on helping people who are on parole avoid technical violations, and we've got things in the works, from hackathon to tools that support service providers, but right now we are working on we're gearing up for a project with an Education Justice Project to help them with their reentry guide online. And today we can catch up on the meeting this weekend with them. I'm also going to prepare a personas workshop for when we are able to get together with them in person and content audit. So if that's stuff that you can help with or are interested in learning about, we'll be here.
Great. Beach water quality. I'm not sure if Tom's here, but Kevin, do you want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, so there are beaches in Chicago, and there is E. coli in them occasionally. EPA has set out guidelines on what levels of E. coli are actually swimmable, but the test for the amount of E. coli takes about 24 hours to run. So if you want to shut the beach down today, then you can't really use that reading because that will get back to you at 6 a.m. tomorrow. So we want to predict the E. coli levels in there. We are doing that with a statistical machine learning based model. The EPA has their own model. Ours is better. So if you want to help get it even better, our group will be meeting in the I-5 group, which is down that way.
Excellent, thank you. Black Tech Mecca, is anyone here from Black Tech Mecca? Okay, cool. Oh, Kulsum's here. Hi, Kulsum. Education is, I don't think I saw Josh Caleb here. Nope, okay. Teach Tech Task Force.
Hello. I'm Andy from the Computer Science Department of Public Schools. We're a new department, but one of the big responsibility, which is to get computer science education to all our high school students in Chicago Public Schools, as well as most of the elementaries in the next 3 or 4 years. And as a result of this initiative, there are a lot of new computer science teachers bubbling up. So we're training them, they're excited, and some of their students are running out of things to do, and some of their schools don't have the resources yet to implement a full computer science course. So one tool that we're developing here to help those teachers is called TanuMap, and it was designed to connect these new computer science educators with a lot of the great online resources that are there, but not very well organized necessarily, and not all designed to slot into a teacher's routine lesson planning and figuring out what standards can I hit with this, what assessments can I hit with this for my students. So we've been working on this for a few months and been doing user testing. So our main things this week are going to be looking at some of those user responses to what we have and thinking about what tweaks we can make to our interface, as well as working on a couple of improvements displaying this information that we have at the database. So if you're interested in that, if you have content experience, I think we're working more on that this week, so JavaScript mostly. Actually built on Rails as well, for the Postgres database, so there's experience there, we can talk to you. And we'll be meeting up in one of these side rooms down the hall.
Excellent, thank you. Chicago Nursing Home Search, Joel.
Nursing home time. All right, can you click on that link?
I sure can.
So we have built an app that displays the ratings of nursing homes on a map.
Whoa, it looks different.
And I was really terrible and decided the best way to spur action was to launch something that's not ready.
Excellent. All right. Is that, what's the before minimum viable products? It's something other before that. Yeah. Modeling pension reform, Ben.
So we talk more about pension. We'll inform you and talk about civics, but we're actually working on a very interesting project now to try and explain the pension system and the only viable solution to it. We're cooking it up right now.
Whoa. Excellent. Mapping the demand for better transit, John.
Yeah, so we're basically mapping the density of people sitting on buses, corridors throughout the city of Chicago, to figure out where there are enough people, bus riders per mile for buses selecting traffic like a dedicated bus lane or bus rapid transit or whatever. So we started out by a Freedom of Information Act request to the CPA to release ridership data for how many riders over the course of the average day ride each route. Then we started with something a little more interesting, which is calculating the number of buses per hour in each corridor. That's pretty cool because there's pretty good data about how many, like the city of Los Angeles says 25 per hour in the peak hour warrants a day for the transit lane. Michigan average are 120. So it seems like if we actually map this, we're going to get some maps that have say a lot about urban policy.
Excellent, thank you. Another transportation project pavement. I saw Zane's here, yeah.
We are measuring road quality using accelerometer and implementing, I think, some more visualization in the apps and aggregated data. So we're doing this week if you want to do something else.
Cool. And then the last one listed here is Ride With Me. Robert, you're still here? I think I saw Robert. Did he walk out? All right. No, nobody else can Ride With Me? Okay. Like I said in the beginning, anybody's welcome to start a group. So if you want to raise your hand, you are welcome to start a group. Yes, Steve.
Hey, the economy is tanking. If you don't believe me, look at your investment reports for Q1 2016. Mine didn't lose double digits, darn near. Anyway, why is this? The economy is an extractive economy. We're taking everything out of the ground, and that's not going to last. So what we need to do is we need to build a new economy. It's called a sharing economy. And I'm not talking about Uber and Airbnb. I'm talking about true sharing economy. And what we've done is I've gotten about 600 candidate organizations in Chicago that do share it in one form or another. And we're putting together a map tonight. So I heard a lot of GIS in the audience. So you GISers, come help us. If you're interested in the sharing economy, we're going to be doing some data work tonight. And hopefully, I don't know if we'll get finished with this project tonight. It might need to carry it on a week or two more. But we're going to build this map. So thanks. If you think you might come to this, please raise your hand. I need to know what kind of room you get.
Cool.
About 8 or 10.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you. Anybody else want to start a group? James, is it about Matplotlib?
Yeah, of course it is. So we're going to be doing, we're going to be doing some interview questions, like coding interview questions. If you go to a job, they ask you, like, prime numbers of whatever. So we're going to be doing some of those. Usually it's like 3 to 5. Language agnostic, doesn't matter what you code in. It's BYO computer. Just look for me. And you'll find it.
Great. Anybody else? Yeah.
Shout out to Renee and Coach Ryan back at you. We are working on a Twitter bot. Right now, if you experience ignorant people asking the same question over and over on Twitter, you have 2 options. One is to be forever frustrated by those ignorant people asking the same question over and over on Twitter. The other is to engage with them and go into a spiral. So we're building a third option in which you tweet at a Twitter bot that is preloaded with canned answers to these repeated ignorant questions, and that Twitter bot will then take over that conversation with you and engage that person in empathetic and targeted education. So if you're interested in that and either building content for it, we have a few focus areas we're working on. If you feel free to start a focus area, people who experience common racially charged, misogynist, or xenophobic questions online, or a few of the focus areas. You can build content for that. or if you know Python or Django, who are also super useful. And if there's other ways that you can be useful, I can do these. So,
Excellent. Great. Anybody else? Huh? You got something?
Do we know where we got this up?
I don't think we decided on that. Yeah, we'll figure that out a little later. Okay. So thanks again to everybody for presenting. Thanks again to everybody for providing food and to Braintree again. So again, you're welcome to use this space and the rest of these rooms over here in the cafeteria. Please clean up after yourselves because we're guests here. Thanks again. Happy 200, everyone. All right. And if you want merchandise over here.
Bye, Internet.